Welcome to Kiali's Sprint number 20 demo. We're going to start with Xavier, and yes, we can see your screen. Go ahead, please.
Okay, hello everybody. So I'm going to show you how we've done in the service graph, especially when we have MTLS enabled in the global level and mesh wide level. Okay, since you have here, you can see that we have the security level, and anybody here is using MTLS. But let's see how it is when you have one service not using MTLS. So for example, this one, we're gonna apply, we're gonna enable MTLS for the details. So here, in a few seconds, we should see that we show the logs in here, because what I've done is come here and see that we have I put a permissive policy here allowing the MTLS being received on the services, and also on for the detail service allowing the clients to start this deal mutual. So in the graph, what we can see here, we have the logs as usual. But what happens if we enable the mesh MTLS? So if we enable it, let me go here, mesh wide. So we are going to enable the MTLS mesh wide. So here we see that we have MTLS enabled, and if we enable the security layer, then we see that we have traffic everywhere. We have traffic in every edge, as we can see here, but instead of show logs in every edge, we show logs only for the edges without MTLS. I'm gonna show you how. So if we remove this one, then we disabled exactly the details in here. I'm gonna show you. So here what we've done, so we add again a permissive policy. So we allow both kinds of connections, but we disable the details. So here we should see that okay, we have MTLS traffic. Due to we changed the configuration for a few seconds, there was some traffic not going well. But as we can see here, the MTLS is decreasing, and soon we'll see that we have open logs for each edge. Let's see, 8%. So that you have here that yeah. So communications in that end are encrypted. As you can see, we update here the MTLS the legend. So since the mesh wide MTLS is something you set up kind of once, here is the picture. You don't need to the both log, they don't need to collive, so you only have one, and you can see what is happening here. Besides that, going ahead, we also add some more information on the overview page. So for each namespace, we see what how the MTLS is configured for each namespace. For example, here we have the one sign saying that it's not fully enabled MTLS, but it's partial, which it's right because we have for this specific area in the graph the MTLS not working. We have this one, yeah, showing up the edges, the connections not using MTLS. Okay, so to continue with some other work we've done, let me remove this one. We've been playing with some validations. The one I'm going to show you is just an example of one validation we have introduced. There's what I call the scenario number 2. So, for example, I introduce 2 different, one policy, a strict mode, and I have disabled the MTLS for the whole services in the book info namespace. So here we have one more validation saying, okay, you have a policy in a strict mode. So if you have it disabled, it should be permissive. So if you go there, you update that and you update that, then oopsie. Okay, there's the mesh one working. So it says, okay, you have the strict one. So here, this one it should be permissive. But yes, we have worked with some validation related to the namespace MTLS and mesh white MTLS enabled. Yeah, right, and I think that's it from my side.
Okay, let me share my screen. Can you see my Kiali graph?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So I would like to show a couple of features that we've been working out this spring related to the Istio configuration. So what you can see here is the product page, the booking, for example, with an additional version from the product page, and now 2 workloads that are simulating that we are just sending traffic to the product page. But this happens internally. One traffic is from one region, for example, from US, and the other traffic came from other region, let's say Europe, right? So one of the, I enabled to the edge to show the traffic of the scenario. And one of the features that we are working out is just to simplify the way that the Istio configuration can be applied into the services. So if we click into the graph, into the review service, we know that we have 3 versions. And if we click into the service link, we go to the details. And now we have more actions available under the service, just to create different scenarios of routing traffic. One of the newest scenarios that we may have is the suspend traffic. Suspend traffic means that I want an easy way to say, okay, I want to send all traffic to one version, but I want to suspend the other way. So I don't want just to deal with the details of how to do that. If I need to create a destination rules, I need to create a virtual services, what I need to add into the virtual services. So this wizard allows to you to this scenario in a high level perspective, and it's going to create, for example, all the virtual services for you. In this case, it's going to create the destination rules, so matching the version with the workloads that are under these services. And also in this case, what I wanted to do is to stop all the traffic for a couple of versions, and just all the traffic for the version 1. So this is in this scenario, what it should do is just to apply a wait with virtual services, virtual services with all the traffic into the version 1 and no traffic into version 2 and version 3, right? So, but imagine that we want just to, for example, I want to delete all the traffic, but I want to suspend all the scenario. For some reasons, I want to stop all the traffic coming to any versions of the review. So in that case, what I should do is to, for example, just to create an abort rule, right, for you. So in this case, what I should do is to, okay, I would like to stop with a specific error, fault injection error that 503 and 100% of the value to all destinations that come into the review. Okay. Okay. And another improvement that we are doing is also to improve the flexibility to add rules when we are using the matching routing. The matching routing now allows you to specify different routes in matchings. So in that case, imagine that I want just to create like, okay, I want to send to all the traffic coming to the region 1, okay, is going to go to only to, let's say, to reviews 1, right? But the rest of the traffic, so match any request, I want also to add it to the version 2 and to the version 3, right? And add into this case. So in this scenario with this composite tool, so what I want to do is to express more complex virtual services scenarios. In this case, it would create a first HTTP route, but it should have a match rule to say, okay, any request that matches the region headers and equal to region 1 is going to be routed to the version 1 workload, sorry, and any other request that doesn't match the first one is going to be balanced between version 2 and version 3, right? Okay. The next feature that I would like to show to you is that now Kiali is going to be support any kind of generic adapter. Okay, before that we were only supporting to the predefined adapters that coming from the version 1.1 and from the version 1.0, and starting from the version 1.1. So Istio has introduced the generic adapters, and now Kiali can support it. So in this case, we can see a third-party adapter from the 3Scales API management tool. And in this case, we can see that we can also do access to the configuration and also to the rules that are related to this. We can modify them and also to the instance and the template uses. And okay, that's all from my side.
Okay, I think I have my screen being shared right now. Can someone verify that?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, so one of the things that we added during this sprint is the readiness and liveness probes to the Kiali pod. This is kind of cleans up a little bit of our lifecycle management in Kiali and lets us use the Kubernetes mechanisms here to handle things such as marking when the Kiali instance is up and running, and if for any reason Kiali goes down while it's running, the Liveness probe can detect that and automatically restart it. There's a couple of things that we did there. In terms of an interesting thing we've done with the graph is a lot of times you can see on the graph that something is wrong. So we can see here between product page V1 and details, something's happening where the request is being denied at the service level. In the past, you would have to go through and check what configurations you have here. Perhaps you have fault injection being used, or a circuit breaker, or some sort of other mechanism in Istio that is preventing the connection from going across. Now what we've done is we made this a little bit easier to detect by providing the response code tab in the side panel. So here we can see that there's these 200 responses and there's no flag, but we notice that there's 500 response codes with the FI flag that's happening 7.8% of the time. And if you hover over the flag, it'll tell you the reason for this. So in this case, there's fault injection being done on the details node, and that's what's causing the failure. So knowing this, you can know, okay, that's what's happening here. If you want to go through and either remove the fault injection or change it or whatever from that, you can at least have more insight into what is causing the error in that situation. Here is a list of all the flags that you're able to see through here. There's a lot of different ones in here having to do with circuit breakers or fault injection, as well as other errors that might be happening. This is quite useful to determining what's happening inside of your graph, and you're kind of seeing these error responses coming back. Something else that we've worked on for people in the past who've seen errors happening in Kiali, you might have noticed that the notification center constantly can fill up with error messages that are happening multiple times. During the sprint, we've cleaned this up quite a bit so that if you're seeing an error that's happening more than once, instead of listing it for each incident, we're grouping them together and letting you know how many times it's happened and the timestamp of when it happened. This should make it easier to find errors and not be kind of overwhelmed with the giant list or trying to find the error within that list and kind of make sure it's not more than a few things happening in there. We've also changed how we handle the side panel for when clicking on a compound node. So in the past, we were only showing things like the workloads that were included within the compound application node. Now we're also showing things like these services. So if your service has the app label applied, it's included in the application compound node. We now include the link to those services. If the services also have any badging applied, that badging will be added to the top here as well. I see there's some comments in the chat. Is there anything in here that needs my attention? Please let me know. That's also one of the improvements we've done with that. In previous sprints, we had a traffic tab for dealing with workload and application objects, but we didn't have it for services. So now if you go into the service detail page, you'll also find a traffic page added in here. This used to be included under the info as one of the tabs, but now it's its own traffic one. This brings it in line with what's happening with workloads and applications, which is quite nice. And then in terms of our installation scripts, these have been updated. So within the past couple of sprints, we've added in different login mechanisms. You can log in either with a plain username and password, such as login. You can use the OpenShift OAuth login if you want to use that, or you can use anonymous, which turns off any sort of credential requirements. It used to be that when you ran the installation script, you would just automatically be given the option of login, and then you'd have to apply the username and password. Now we have a more interactive option here. We'll ask kind of login you want to use. So if you use OpenShift, it won't ask for a username and password to be set, as it's using the OpenShift credentials to authenticate users. But if you use login, it will still ask you for your username and password. So that's one of the improvements that we've done with this. And I think that is it from the Saturn side. Kana, did you want to do a quick demo on Knative with Kiali? Okay, I'll take that as a no then. All right, thanks.
All right, thank you very much, everyone. We can wrap up.